Section 1 of The House of the Trees and Other Poems by Ethelwyn Wetherald. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. This recording will be by Roger Moline. The House of the Trees and Other Poems. Section 1. The House of the Trees. Ope your doors and take me in, Spirit of the wood. Wash me clean of dust and din, Clothe me in your mood. Take me from the noisy light To the sunless peace, Where at midday standeth night, Singing toil's release. All your dusky twilight stores To my senses give. Take me in and lock the doors, Show me how to live. Lift your leafy roof for me, Part your yielding walls, Let me wander lingeringly Through your scented halls. Ope your doors and take me in, Spirit of the wood. Take me, make me next of kin To your leafy brood. The Sun on the Trees. The sun within the leafy woods Is like a midday moon, So soft upon these solitudes Is bent the face of noon. Loosed from the outside summer blaze A few gold arrows stray, A vagrant brilliance droops or plays Through all the dusky day. The gray trunk feels a touch of light, While where dead leaves are deep A gleam of sunshine golden white Lies like a soul asleep. And just beyond dank rooted ferns, Where darkening hemlocks sigh And leaves are dim, the bare road burns Beneath a dazzling sky. Moonlight. When I see the ghost of night Stealing through my window pane, Silken sleep and silver light Struggle for my soul in vain. Silken sleep all balmily breathes Upon my lids oppressed, Till I sudden start to see Ghostly fingers on my breast. White and skyey visitants bringing Beauty such as stings All my inner soul to pant After undiscovered things. Spare me this consummate pain. Silken weavings intercreep Round my senses once again. I am mortal, let me sleep. Pine Needles. Here where the pine tree to the ground Lets slip its fragrant load, My footsteps fall without a sound Upon a velvet road. O poet pine that turns thy gaze Alone unto the sky, How softly on earth's common ways Thy sweet thoughts fall and lie! So sweet, so deep, seared by the sun, And smitten by the rain, They pierce the heart of every one With fragrance keen as pain. Or if some pass nor heed their sweet, Nor feel their subtle dart, Their softness stills the noisy feet And stills the noisy heart. O poet pine, thy needles high In starry light abode, And now for footsore passers by They make a velvet road. The Sound of the Axe. With the sound of an axe on the light wind's tracks For my only company, And a speck of sky like a human eye Blue bending over me, I lie at rest on the low moss pressed, Whose loose leaves downward drip, As light they move as a word of love Or a finger on the lip. 'Neath the canopies of the sun bright trees Pierced by an autumn ray, To rich red flakes of the old log breaks In exquisite decay. While in the pines where no sun shines Perpetual morning lies, What bed more sweet could stay her feet Or hold her dreaming eyes? No sound is there in the middle air But sudden wings that soar, As a strange bird's cry goes drifting by, And then I hear once more That sound of an axe till the great tree cracks, Then a crash comes as if all The winds that through its bright leaves blew Were sorrowing in its fall. The Prayer of the Year. Leave me hope when I am old, Strip my joys from me, Let November to the cold Bare each leafy tree. Chill my lover, dull my friend, Only, while I grope To the dark and silent end, Leave me hope. Blight my bloom when I am old, Bid my sunlight cease, If it need be, from my hold Take the hand of peace. Leave no springtime memory, But upon the slope Of the days that are to be, Leave me hope. The Hayfield. With slender arms outstretching in the sun The grass lies dead, The winds walk tenderly and stirs not one Frail fallen head. Of baby creepings through the April day, Where streamlets wend, Of childlike dancing on the breeze of May, This is the end. No more these tiny forms are bathed in dew, No more they reach To hold with leaves that shade them from the blue A whispered speech. No more they part their arms and wreathe them close again To shield some love full little nest, A dainty house hid in a field. For them no more the splendor of the storm, The fair delights of moon and starshine Glimmering faint and warm on summer nights. Their little lives they yield in summer death, And frequently across the field, Bereaved their dying breath Is brought to me. Twilight. I saw her walking in the rain, And sweetly drew she nigh, And then she crossed the hills again To bid the day good bye. Good bye, good bye, the world is dim as sorrow, But close behind the morning sky I'll say a glad to morrow. O dweller in the darling wood, When near to death I lie, Come from your leafy solitude And bid my soul good bye. Good bye, good bye, the world is dim as sorrow, But close behind the morning sky Oh, say a glad to morrow. The Sky Path. I hear the far moon's silver call High in the upper wold, And shepherd like it gathers all My thoughts into its fold. Oh, happy thoughts, that wheresoe'er They wander through the day, Come home at eve to upper air Along a shining way. Though some are weary, some are torn, And some are fain to grieve, And some the freshness of the morn Have kept until the eve. And some perversely seek to roam E'en from their shepherd bright, Yet all are gathered safely home And folded for the night. Oh, happy thoughts, that with the streams The trees and meadows share The sky path to the gates of dreams Is their white shepherd's care. Fall and Spring. From the time the wind wakes To the time of snowflakes, That's the time the heart aches Every cloudy day. That's the time the heart takes Thought of all its heartbreaks. That's the time the heart makes Life a cloudy way. From the time the grass creeps To the time the wind sleeps, That's the time the heart leaps To the golden ray. That's the time the joy sweeps Through the depths of heart deeps, That's the time the heart keeps Happy holiday. The Woodside Way. I wandered down the woodside way, Where branching doors ope with the breeze, And saw a little child at play Among the strong and lovely trees. The dead leaves rustled to her knees, Her hair and eyes were brown as they. "O little child," I softly said, "You come a long, long way to me. The trees that tower overhead Are here in sweet reality. But you're the child I used to be, And all the leaves of May you tread." A Rainy Day. It has been twilight all the day, And as the twilight peace on daily fetters seemed to lay the finger of release. So, needless as to tree and flower, seem care and fear and pain. Our hearts grow fresher every hour, and brighten in the rain. When Twilight Comes. All out of doors, for all life's way, The fields and the woods and the good sunlight, And then in the chill of the evening gray A sheltered nook and the hearth fire bright. No hearth, no shelter attend my way, Not late, dear life, linger not too late. But before the chill and before the gray, Let the sunlight gild and gravestone date. Leafless April. Leafless April, chased by light, Chased by dark and full of laughter, Stays a moment in her flight, Where the warmest breezes waft her. By the meadow brook to lean, Or where winter rye is growing, Showering in a lovelier green Where her wayward steps are going. Blithesome April, brown and warm, Showing slimness through her tatters, Chased by sun or chased by storm, Not a whit to her it matters. Swiftly through the violet bed, Down to where the stream is flooding, Light she lifts, and round her head See the orchard branches budding. The Visitors. In the room where I was sleeping The sun came to the floor, Its silent thought went leaping To where in woods of yore It felt the sun before. At noon the rain was slanting In gray lines from the west. A hurried child, all panting, It pattered to my nest, And smiled when sun caressed. At eve the wind was flying Bird like from bed to chair. Of brown leaves sere and dying It brought enough to spare, And dropped them here and there. At night time, without warning, I felt almost no pain. The soul of the sun in the morning, And the soul of the wind and rain, In my sleeping room remain. Autumn Days. Autumn days are sun crowned, Full of laughing breath, Light their leafy feet are dancing Down the way to death. Scarlet shrouded to the grave I watch them gaily go, So may I as blithely die Before November snow. Woodland Worship. Here 'mid these leafy walls Are sylvan halls, And all the Sabbaths of the year Are gathered here. Upon their raptured mood My steps intrude, then wait, As some freed soul might wait At heaven's gate. Nowhere on earth, nowhere On sea or air, Do I as easily escape This earthly shape. As here upon the white And dizzy height Of utmost worship where it seems Too still for dreams. When Days Are Long. When twilight late delayeth, And morning wakes in song, And fields are full of daisies, I know the days are long. When toil is stretched at nooning, Where leafy pleasures throng, When nights o'errun in music, I know the days are long. When sons afoot are marching, And reins are quick and strong, And streams speak in a whisper, I know the days are long. When hills are clad in velvet, And winds can do no wrong, And woods are deep and dusky, I know the days are long. Out of Doors. In the urgent solitudes Lie the spur to larger moods. In the friendship of the trees Dwell all sweet serenities. End of Section 1. Section 2 of The House of the Trees and Other Poems by Ethelwyn Wetherald. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Section 2. Make room. Room for the children out of doors, for heads of gold or gloom, for raspberry lips and rose-leaf cheeks and palms. Make room, make room. Room for the springtime out of doors, for buds in green or bloom. For every brown, bare-handed country weed make room, make room. Room for earth's sweetest out of doors, and for its worst a tomb. For housed-up griefs and fears, and scorns and sighs, no room, no room. The Hummingbird. Against my window-pane he plunges at a mass of buds and strikes in vain the intervening glass. O sprite of wings and fire outstretching eagerly, my soul with like desire to probe thy mystery, comes close as breast to bloom, as bud to hot heart-beat, and gains no inner room, and drains no hidden sweet. September. But yesterday, all faint for breath, the summer laid her down to die, and now her frail ghost wandereth in every breeze that loiters by. Her wilted prisoners look up, as wondering who hath broke their chain. Too deep they drank of summer's cup, they have no strength to rise again. How swift the trees, their mistress gone, enrobe themselves for revelry. Ungovernable winds upon the world are dancing merrily. With crimson fruits, and bursting nuts, and whirling leaves and flushing streams, the spirit of September cuts adrift from August's languid dreams. A little while the revellers shall flame and flaunt and have their day, and then will come the messengers who travel on a cloudy way. And after them a form of light, a sense of iron in the air, upon the pulse a touch of might, and winter's legions everywhere. The March Orchard. Unleaved, undrooping, still they stand, this staunch and patient pilgrim band. October robbed them of their fruit, November stripped them to the root. The winter smote their helplessness with furious ire and stormy stress, and now they seem almost to stand in sight of summer's promised land. Yet seen through frosty window panes, when bared and bound in wintry chains, their lightsome spirits seem to play with February as with May. The snow that turned the skies a frown enwrapped them in the softest down, and rains that dulled the landscape o'er but left them livelier than before. But now this June-like day of March with patient strength their branches arch, not as unmindful of the breeze that makes midsummer melodies, but knowing spring a fickle maid, and that rough days must dawn and fade before, all blossoming bright, they stand in sight of summer's promised land. The Blind Man. The blind man at his window bars Stands in the morning dewy dim. The lily-footed dawn, the stars That wait for it, are naught to him. And not to his unseeing eyes The brownness of a sunny plain, Where worn and drowsy August lies, And wakens but to sleep again. And not to him a greening slope, That yearns up to the heights above, and not the leaves of May that ope As awfully as the eyes of love. And not to him the branching aisles, athrong with woodland worshippers, and not the fields where summer smiles Among her sunburned laborers. The way a trailing streamlet goes, the barefoot grasses on its brim, the dew a flower cup overflows With silent joy, are hid from him. To him no breath of nature calls, Upon his desk his work is laid, He looks up at the dingy walls, And listens to the voice of trade. To the October Wind Old playmate showering the way With thick leaf storms in red and gold, I'm only 6 years old to day, You made me feel but 6 years old. In yellow gown and scarlet hood I whirled, a leaf among the rest, Or lay within the thinning wood And played that you were red of breast. Old comrade, lift me up again, Your arms are strong, your feet are swift, And bear me lightly down the lane, Through all the leaves that drift and drift, And out into the twilight wood And lay me softly down to rest, And cover me just as you would If you were really red of breast. A Midday in Midsummer The sky's great curtains downward steal, Their earth's fair company of trees and streams and meadows feel A sense of privacy. Upon the vast expanse of heat Light-footed breezes pace, To waves of gold they tread the wheat, They lift the sunflower's face. The cruel sun is blotted out, The west is black with rain, The drooping leaves in mingled doubt And hope look up again. The weeds and grass on tiptoe stand, A strange exultant thrill Prepares the dazed uncertain land For the wild tempest's will. The wind grows big and breathes aloud As it turns hurrying past. At one sharp blow the thunder cloud Lets loose the furious blast. The earth is beaten, drenched and drowned, The elements go mad, Swift streams of joy flow o'er the ground, And all the leaves are glad. Then comes a momentary lull, The darkest clouds are furled, And lo, new washed and beautiful And breathless gleams the world. A Slow Rain A drowsy rain is stealing In slowness without stop, The sun-dried earth is feeling Its coolness drop by drop. The clouds are slowly wasting Their too long garnered store, Each thirsty clod is tasting One drop, and then one more. Oh, ravishing as slumber To wearied limbs and eyes, And countless as the number Of stars in wintry skies. And sweet as the caresses By baby fingers made, These delicate rain kisses On leaf and flower and blade. The Patient Earth The patient earth that loves the grass, The flocks and herds that o'er it pass, That guards the smallest summer nest Within her scented bosom pressed, And gives to beetle, moth, and bee A lavish hospitality, Still waits through weary years to bind The hearts of suffering humankind. How far we roamed away from her, The tender mother of us all! Yet 'mid the city's noises stir The sound of birds that call and call. Wind melodies that rise and fall Along the perfumed wooded wall. We looked upon the childhood's eyes, The ugly streets are all a blur, And in our hearts are homesick cries. The loving earth that roots the trees So closely to her inmost heart, Has rooted us as well as these. Not long from her we live apart. We draw upon a lengthening string, For months perhaps, perhaps for years, And plume ourselves that we are free. And then we hear a robin sing, Where starving grass shows stunted spears, Or haycart moving fragrantly Where creaking tavern sign boards swing. Then closer, tighter drawn the chain, The man, too old and worn for tears, Goes back to be a child again. The greed that took us prisoner First led our steps away from her. For lust of gold we gave up life, And sank heart deep in worldly strife. And when success, beloved name, At last with faltering footsteps came, the city's rough, harsh imps of sound, And competition's crush and cheat, Were in her wreath securely bound. Her fruits still savored of the street, Its choking dust, its wearied feet. Her poorest like her richest prize Was rotted o'er with envious eyes, And sickened with the human heat Of hands that strove to clutch it fast, And struggling gave it up at last. Not so where Nature summer crowned Makes fields and woods a pleasure ground, Sky blessed, wind kissed, and circled round With waters lapsing cool and sweet. O Earth, sweet mother, take us back, With woodland strength and orchard joy, And river peace without alloy, Flood us, who on the city's track Have followed stifling, sordid years. Cleanse us with dew and meadow rain, Till life's horizon lights and clears, And Nature claims us once again. End of Section 2. Section 3 of The House of the Trees and Other Poems by Ethelwyn Wetherald. LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Section 3. At Dawn. A spirit through my window came when the earth was soft with dew, Close at the tender age of dawn when all the spring was new, And bore me back along her rose and starry tinted track, And showed me how the full winged day emerged from out the black. She knew the speech of all the deep pink blossoms of the peach, Told in my ear the meanings of the trees, the thoughts of each. Explained to me the language of the bird and frog and bee, The messages the streams and rivers take unto the sea. Alas, alas, I have forgot! The dream did from me pass. I know not e'en the meaning dear and sweet of common grass. And now, when I roam this strange earth beneath a stranger sky, Soft syllables of that forgotten speech faint as a sigh. Come back again, with sweet solicitings that urge like pain, And brood like love, as full of light and dark as April rain. In the Crowd. Here in the crowded city's busy street, Swayed by the eager, jostling, hasting throng, Where traffic's voice grows harsher and more strong, I see within the stream of hurrying feet A company of trees in their retreat, Dew bathed, dream wrapped, and with a thrush's song Emparadizing all the place along Whose paths I hear the pulse of beauty beat. 'Twas yesterday I walked beneath the trees, Today I tread the city's stony ways, And still the spell that o'er my spirit came Turns harshest sounds to shy bird ecstasies, Pours scent of pine through murky chimney haze, And gives each careworn face a woodland frame. By Fields of Grass. By fields of grass and woodland silences The city's tumult is encamped around, The jingling, clanging, shrieking fiends of sound Expire within the wide world circling breeze. The soul amid a multitude of trees, Or grass enveloped on the fragrant ground, Is lifted to its utmost starry round, And listens to celestial harmonies. From this unspeakably divine rebirth, Its sordid life returning shows through rifts How purely spread the sky, how musical The streams and breezes flow across the earth, How light the tree its fruity load uplifts, How easily the weed is beautiful. October. Against the winter's heaven of white the blood of earth runs very quick and hot today. A storm of fiery leaves are out at play Around the lingering sunset of the wood. Where rows of blackberries unnoticed stood, Run streams of ruddy color wildly gay. The golden lane half dreamed picks its way Through whelming vines, as through a gleaming flood. O warm, outspoken earth! A little space against thy beating heart My heart shall beat. A little while they twain shall bleed and burn, And then the cold touch, and the gray, gray face, The frozen pulse, the drifted winding sheet, And speechlessness, and the chill burial urn. Winter. Now that the earth has hid her lovely brood Of green things in her breast safe out of sight, And all the trees have stripped them for the fight, The winter comes with wild winds singing rude Hoarse battle songs, so furious in feud That nothing lives that has not felt their bite. They sound a trumpet in the dead of night That makes more solitary solitude. Against the forest doors how fierce they beat! Against the porch, against the school bound boy With crimson cheek bent to his shaggy coat. The earth is pale, but steadfast, hearing sweet, But far, how far away the stream of joy, Outpouring from a bluebird's tender throat. The snowstorm. The great, soft, downy snowstorm like a cloak Descends to wrap the lean world head to feet. It gives the dead another winding sheet. It buries all the roofs until the smoke Seems like a soul that from its clay has broke. It broods moonlike upon the autumn wheat, And visits all the trees in their retreat, To hood and mantle that poor shivering folk. With wintry bloom it fills the harshest grooves In jagged pine stump fences. Every sound it hushes to the footsteps of a nun. Sweet charity, that brightens where it moves, Inducing darkest bits of churlish ground To give a radiant answer to the sun. To February. O master builder, blustering as you go About your giant work, transforming all the empty woods Into a glittering hall, and making lilac lanes And footpaths grow as hard as iron Under stubborn snow. Though every fence stand forth a marble wall, And windy hollows drift to arches tall, There comes a might that shall your might o'erthrow. Build high your white and dazzling palaces, Strengthen your bridges, fortify your towers, Storm within a loud and portentous lip, And April with a fragmentary breeze, And half a score of gentle golden hours, Shall leave no trace of your stern workmanship. Rest. From the depths of dreams I am drawn To the inner depth of a pine, That near my window keeps the dawn, A dawn that is wholly mine. Dream rest and pine rest, and a cool gray path between, A cool gray path from the night's breast To the heart of the living green. To the depths of dreams I go on the sounds of falling rain, That in the night time gently flow In a stream on my window pane. Stream rest and dream rest, and a cool dark path between, A cool dark path from the rain's breast To the heart of the soft unseen. The Shy Sun. The sun went with me to the wood, And lingered at the door. One glance he gave from where he stood, But dared not venture more. Nor knew that in the heart of her Who felt his presence nigh, His love was all the lovelier Because his look was shy. In April. When spring unbound comes o'er us like a flood, my spirit slips its bars, And thrills to see the trees break into bud As skies break into stars. And joys that earth is green with eager grass, The heavens gray with rain, And quickens when the spirit breezes pass, And turn and pass again. And dreams upon frog melodies at night, Bird ecstasies at dawn, And wakes to find sweet April at her height, And May still beckoning on. And feels its sordid work, its empty play, Its failures and its stains, Dissolved in blossom dew and washed away In delicate spring rains. Apple Blossoms. Amid the young year's breathing hopes, When eager grasses wrap the earth, I see on greening orchard slopes The blossoms trembling into birth. They open wide their rosy palms, To feel the hesitating rain, Or beg a longed for golden alms From skies that deep in clouds have lain. They mingle with the bluebird's songs, And with the warm wind's reverie. To sward and stream their snow belongs, To neighboring pines in flocks they flee. O doubly crowned with breathing hopes The branches bending down to earth, That feel on greening orchard slopes Their blossoms trembling into birth. The Big Moon. The big moon came to the edge of the sky And pierced me with its dart. I strove to put its brightness by Before it burned my heart. I wrapped the windows thick and well, I closely barred the door. The light of my penny candles fell On low built wall and floor. The little room and the little light Began to comfort me, But I heard the golden night Call like a sounding sea. I knew the moon swam in the sky, And the earth swam in the moon. I went outside in the grass to lie, To yield to the deadly swoon. My soul was filled with white moon rain, Till it ran o'er and o'er. My soul was thrilled with bright moon pain Till it could bear no more. I stole back through the curtained gloom Upstairs unlit and steep, And in a low ceiled darkened room My hurt was healed with sleep. The Twins. The old man and his apple tree Are verging close on 83. 'Twas planted there when he was 2, And almost side by side they grew. How strong and straight they were at 8, One leafy, one with curly pate. How fine at 20, how alive, And prosperous at 25. What health and grace in every limb Was said of it, was said of him. Then when he blushed a marriage groom, The tree outvied the bride in bloom. And in the after years there played Within its ample sweep of shade A little child, with cheeks as red As had the apples overhead. Her father called the tree his twin, And surely it was next of kin. The best of life came to the twain, The beauty of the stars, the rain, Soft stepping, and the liquid notes That overflow from feathered throats. Unto the soul that selfish strives Was born the fragrance of their lives. And anxious folk with brow bent down Bathed in their dewy cool content. They held their heads up in the storm, And gloried when the winds were warm. Their shadows lay but at their feet, And all of life above was sweet. And now that they are 83, They're almost as they used to be. The blossoms are as pink and white, The old man's heart as pure and light. The apples, fragrant balls of flame, Are looking, tasting just the same. And just the same his uttered thought Of mirth and wisdom quaintly wrought. Through all their years they kept their truth, Their strength, and that sweet look of youth. Autumn Fire. The fires of autumn are burning high, Bright the trees in the woods are blazing, A wall of flame from the brilliant sky Down to the fields where the cattle are grazing. Oh, the warm, warm end of the year! Even the shrubs their red hearts render, All the bushes are bright with cheer, And the tamest vine has a touch of splendor. The fires of autumn are burning low. Blow, ye winds, and cease not blowing; Blow the flames to a ruddier show, Heap the coals to a hotter glowing. Ah, the chill, chill end of the year! Naught is left but a few leaf flashes, White as the death stone, white and drear, Over a desolate world of ashes. In the Grass. Face downward on the grass in reverie, I found how cool and sweet Are the green glooms that often thoughtlessly I tread beneath my feet. In this strange mimic wood where grasses lean, Elf trees untouched of bark, I heard the hum of insects, saw the sheen Of sunlight framing dark, And felt, with thoughts I cannot understand, And know not how to speak, A daisy reaching up its little hand To lay it on my cheek. Section 4 of The House of Trees and Other Poems by Ethelwyn Wetherald. Recording is in the public domain. Section 4. The Fields of Dark. The wreathing vine within the porch Is in the heart of me. The roses that the noondays scorch Shall burn in memory. Alone at night I quench the light, And without star or spark The grass and trees press to my knees, And flowers throng the dark. The leaves that loose their hold at noon Drop on my face like rain, And in the watches of the moon I feel them fall again. By day I stray how far away To stream and wood and steep, But on my track they all come back To haunt the vale of sleep. The fields of light are clover brimmed, Or grassed, or daisy starred. The fields of dark are softly dimmed, And safely twilight barred. But in the gloom that fills my room I cannot fail to mark The grass and trees about my knees, The flowers in the dark. Children in the City. Thousands of childish ears, rough chidden, Never a sweet bird note have heard. Deep in the leafy woodland hidden Dies unlistened to many a bird. For small soiled hands in the sordid city Blossoms open and die unbreathed. For feet unwashed by the tears of pity Streams around meadows of green are wreathed. Warm unrevelled in, still they wander, Summer breezes out in the fields. Scarcely noticed, the green months squander All the wealth that the summer yields. Ah, the pain of it! Ah, the pity! Opulent stretch of country skies Over solitudes, while in the city, Starving for beauty, are childish eyes. Where Pleasures Grow. Where pleasures grow as thick as grass, And joys of silence, soft, profound, Are sweeter e'en than joys of sound, The long, long days of summer pass. I see them sitting in the sun, Or moving river like between The climbing and down bending green. I watch them vanish one by one, And strive to clasp them as they flee, But only hold their shadows fast, The summer shadows that they cast Upon the path of memory. In the Heart of the Woods. I lost my heart in the heart of the woods. It stayed there through the day. It stayed there through the solitudes Of a night with no moon ray. Through the day so dusty, worn, and sere My heart was cool and free. Through the wild night, tempest tossed and drear, My heart slept peacefully. I found my heart in the heart of the woods, I looked on it and smiled, And over it still the woodland broods As a mother over her child. Frost. When the sun is growing weaker, And his look is meek and meeker, Comes the frost, the pale betrayer, Light of foot, a stealthy slayer. In the night abroad he stealeth, For each trembling leaf he feeleth. Something softened by its pleading Kills it not, but leaves it bleeding. The Chipmunk. Today the green hill was at strife With me, it robbed my feet of life. The wind that loudly speaks his mind Said in my presence nothing kind. The sky's clear face was from me turned, Behind a cloud his great fire burned. An exile in his native cot, Who finds his very name forgot, Was I this afternoon, until, At the wood's edge behind the hill, A chipmunk flashed and leaped a limb, And took my heart away with him. Give me the poorest weed. Give me the poorest weed To satisfy my spirit's need. The brownest blade of grass Will know and greet me when I pass. Of their own feeling wrought, They live like simple, vital thought. The mind could not invent A better thing than Nature meant. The Weeks that Walk in Green. The weeks that walk in green Came to my willow lane, And swept me in their leafy screen Against the sun and rain. Then far and far we went By stream and wood and steep, Until, all love worn and joy spent, I yielded me to sleep. And they died unseen. Their ghosts are haunting me, The gentle ghosts that walk in green Through vales of memory. Noonday of the Year. The streams that chattered in the cold Are sleeping in the sun. The winds of March were overbold Until their race was run. Oh, mad with haste the morning went, But now, love warm and deep, The fields, their first ambition spent, Lie in their noonday sleep. The Wind World. Alone within the wind I lie, And reck not how the seasons go, The winter struggling through its snow, The light winged summer flitting by. I am not of the cloud nor mold, I move between the stars and flowers, I know the tingling touch of hours When all the storms of night unfold. Within the wind world drifting free I hear not of earth's murmurings, Naught but the sound of songs and wings Among the tree tops comes to me. At night earth stars flash out below, And heaven stars shine out above. I look down on the lights of love, And feel the higher love lights glow. At the Window. How thick about the window of my life Buzz insect like the tribe of petty frets, Small cares, small thoughts, small trials, and small strife, Small loves and hates, small hopes and small regrets. If mid this swarm of smallness remain A single undimmed spot, with wandering eye I note before my freckled window pane The outstretched splendor of the earth and sky. Come back again. Child thoughts, come back again, Faint, fitful as you used to be. The dusty chambers of my brain Have need of your fair company. As when my childhead reached the height Of the wild rose bush at the door, And all of heaven and its delight Bloomed in the flowers the old bush bore. Come back, sweet long-departed year, when, sitting in a hollow oak, I heard the sheep bells far and clear. I heard a voice that silence spoke, and felt in both a vague appeal, and both were mingled in my dreams, with leaves that viewless breezes feel, and skies clear mirrored in the streams. Child heart, child thoughts, come back again. Bring back the tall grass at my cheek, the grief more swift than summer rain, the joy that knew no words to speak. The buttercup's uplifted gold that strives to reach my hands in vain, the love that never could grow cold, child heart, child thoughts, come back again. A rainy morning. The low sky and the warm, wet wind, and the tender light on the eyes. A day like a soul that has never sinned, new dropped from Paradise. And 'tis oh for a long walk in the rain, by the side of the warm, wet breeze, with the thoughts washed clean of dust and stain, as the leaves on the shining trees. June Apples. Green apple branches full of green apples all around me unfurled. Here where the shade and the sunlight dapples, a grass-green, apple-green world. Little green children stirred with the heaving of the warm breast of the air. When your old nurse, the wind, is grieving, comfortlessly you fare. But now an old-time song she is crooning, nestle your heads again, while I dream on through the golden nooning, or look for the first red stain on some round cheek that the sunshine dapples, near me while I lie curled under the green trees athrong with green apples, in a grass-green, apple-green world. Beginning and End. Once it was in my life's beginning, roses were tall in their summer beds. Dandelions within my fingers thrust their confident golden heads. Wading waist deep mid the daisies, feeling the grasses about me climb. Thus it was in my life's beginning. What have you done to me, Father Time? So shall it be when life has ended. Roses shall bloom above my head. Dandelions will know I am lying hidden in grass from foot to head. Hidden in grass and hidden in daisies, over my breast I shall feel them climb. Thus it will be when life has ended. This will you do to me, Father Time. End of section 4. Section 5 of The House of the Trees and Other Poems by Ethelwyn Wetherald. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Section 5. Not at Home. The weariness of idleness, she waited all the day in the parlor of her neighbor. The weariness of labor, a visit she had long meant to pay. But not until the evening did her hostess come in sight. Then the weariness of labor explained unto her neighbor that she lived but a brief hour at night. The Wind of Memory. Red curtains shut the storm from sight. The inner rooms are live with light. The fireside faces all aglow. See not the pale ghost in the snow. The pale ghost at the window pressed, with the wind moaning in her breast. She sees the face she hurt with scorn, the other face where joy, new born, died out at her cheap mockery. The eyes she filled, how bitterly! The head that drooped beneath her jest, the wind is moaning in her breast. Invisible, unfelt, unknown, she lingers trembling. She alone notes tenderly her vacant place, and sees in it her vanished face. She only of this happy nest, the wind is moaning in her breast. Starlike the happy windows glow, Framed in with mile on mile of snow, And from their light a thing of death, Of grief and memory vanisheth, Her sin not deep but undressed, And the wind moaning in her breast. Philippa. A generous gentleness that flowed Streamlike beside a dusty road Gave laborers shade and prisoners sun, And easeful joy to every one, With liquid melodies for such as worked Or wearied overmuch, and ministrations cool and sweet For fevered hands and aching feet. So delicately fair she moved, That stream-like girl of all beloved, Along her path no grief nor care, But lulled and lightened unaware. She bore the sky within her breast, And childlike winds her soul caressed, Until her spring of life was dried, And with a smile Philippa died. The Student. The student sits within his room, So small and worn and white; His lamp flames out remote and strange Through all the hours of night. And all day long within his face, So small and worn and white, His eyes flame out, those lamp-like eyes, So weirdly, strangely bright. Unspoken. My lover comes down the long leafy street Through tenderly falling rain. His footsteps near our portal veer, Go past, then turn again. Oh, can it be he is knocking below, Or here at my door above? So gentle and small it sounds in the hall, So loud in the ear of love. But never a word of love has he said, And never a word crave I. For why should one long for the daylight strong, When the dawn is in the sky? Oh, a dewy rose garden is the house, A garden shut from the sun. The breath of it sweet floats up as my feet Float down on my waiting one. But if ever a word of love thinks he, It falls from his heart still born. Who bends to the rose does not haste to close His hand around bud and thorn. The beautiful soul that is in him turns His beautiful face agleam. My own soul flies to feast in his eyes Where the silent love words teem. Our talk is of books, and of thoughts and moods, Of the wild flowers in the rain, And he leans his cheek, when we do not speak, On his chair where my hand had lain. Yet never a word of love does he say, And never a word crave I, For the faint green May would wither away At the quick touch of July. And at last we look our last, And the dim day grows more dim, But his eyes still shine in these eyes of mine, And my soul goes forth with him. For though not a word of love does he say, Still never a word crave I, For the words of earth are of little worth When a song drops out of the sky. Under the King. Love with the deep eyes and soft hair, Love with the lily throat and hands, Is done to death, and free as air Am I of all my king's commands. How shall I celebrate my joy, Or dance with feet that once were fleet, In his adorable employ, Or laugh with lips that felt his sweet? How can I at his lifeless face Aim any sharp or bitter jest, Since roguish destiny did place That tender target in my breast? Nay, let me be sincere and strong, I cannot rid me of my chains, I cannot to myself belong. My king is dead, his soul still reigns. The Secret. Some chance moment life confesses That her insect nothingnesses Carry honey with their stings, But 'tis only to their kings, Those who know how best to use them, Those who know how to refuse them, That the secret is made free, and souls are loosed from tyranny. Limitation. Beyond the far horizon's farthest bound a farther boundary lies. No spirit wing can reach the utmost round, no spirit eyes. The soul has limitations such as space, such as eternity. The farthest star to which thou set'st thy face belongs to thee. 3 Years Old. What is it like, I wonder, to roam down through the tall grass hidden quite, to feel very far away from home when the dear house is out of sight? To want to play with the broken moon in the star garden of the skies, to sleep through twilight eves of June beneath the sound of lullabies? To hold up hurts for all to see, sob at imaginary harms, to clasp in welcome a father's knee, and fit so well to a mother's arms? To have life bounded by one dull road, a wood and a pond, and to feel no lack, to gaze with pleasure upon a toad, and caress a mud turtle's horny back, to follow the robin's cheerful hop with all the salt small hands can hold, and plead in vain for it to stop. What is it like to be 3 years old? Ah, once I knew, but 'twas long ago. I try to recall it in vain, in vain, and now I know I shall never know what it is to be a child again. Sometime I fear. Sometime I fear, but God alone knows when mine eyes shall gaze on your unseeing eyes, on your unheeding ears shall fall my cries. Your clasp shall cease, your soul go away from my ken, your great heart be a fire burned out. Ah, then, what shall remain for me beneath the skies of glad, or good, or beautiful, or wise, that can resume and thrill my life again? This shall remain, a love that cannot fail, a life that joys in your great joy, yet grieves in memory of sweet days fled too soon. Sadness divine, as when November pale sits broken-hearted 'mong her withered leaves, and feels the wind about her warm as June. Joy. When airy joy doth hail me, I follow on behind, and lest my feet should fail me, I follow on the wind. I hear her lightsome laughter go floating past the door, and swift I follow her as she flies on before. When I am faint and falling, and lose her skyey wings, I hear her liquid calling, and feel the charms she flings On all the earth and o'er me, then eagerly I rise, and see her skirts before me go glittering up the skies. The best of life would daunt me ungirdled by her grace, And foreign demons haunt me whene'er she hides her face. Up roughest steeps with laughter my airy joy doth soar, As wind-like I come after, and she flies on before. In the Dark. All in the dark he crossed the border, all in the dark, for the lamp of faith had never been used and was not in order, so all in the dark he encountered death. Words. I like those words that carry in their veins the blood of lions. Liberty is one, and justice, and the heart leaps to the sun when the thrilled note of "Courage! Courage!" rains upon the sorely stricken will. No pains survive when life and light, twin glories, run From the quick page to some poor soul undone, And beggar by their glow all other gains. How splendidly does morning flood our night! How the word ocean drowns our insect cares, And drives a strong wind through our housed up grief, While honor lifts us to the mountain height, And loyalty the heaviest burden bears As lightly as a tree a crimson leaf. The Wind of Death. The wind of death that softly blows The last warm petal from the rose, The last dry leaf from off the tree, To night has come to breathe on me. There was a time I learned to hate, As weaker mortals learn to love. The passion held me fixed as fate, Burned in my veins early and late, But now a wind falls from above. The wind of death that silently Enshroudeth friend and enemy. There was a time my soul was thrilled By keen ambition's whip and spur. My master forced me where he willed, And with his power my life was filled. But now the old time pulses stir, How faintly in the wind of death, That bloweth lightly as a breath. And once, but once, at love's dear feet, I yielded strength and life and heart. His look turned bitter into sweet, His smile made all the world complete. The wind blows loves like leaves apart. The wind of death that tenderly Is blowing twixt my love and me. O wind of death that darkly blows Each separate ship of human woes Far out on a mysterious sea, I turn my face to thee. End of Section 5. End of The House of the Trees and Other Poems by Ethelwyn Wetherald. This recording has been by Roger Moline.